Alright, welcome back to the next episode of Quadstick functions. Today we're going to be covering two, pulse and delay off. They are very similar, but they work kind of in opposite order. So let's start with pulse. Pulse. It's basically when you activate it, it holds onto the button that you set the command for a certain amount of time. I think the default duration is about 200 milliseconds and or less. So you always have to apply a timer. I like to go around either 2 to 3 seconds to give me that leverage. But what happens is once you apply the pressure to where the button is located, let's say mine is lip. Once I click the lip button, it starts to activate the timer. And if I keep holding the lip, even though it's activating the timer, it wouldn't matter. Once the 3 seconds are done, the timer is over. It's waiting for me to let go, and it will turn off. But if I kind of cut it off while it's finishing the timer, let's say at 2 seconds, I click lip, and then in 2 seconds, I click it again. Even though it's 3-second timer, it will restart the timer all over again. It's kind of like reactivating it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's go with lip, just because it has a 3000 and the left sip doesn't really do anything because the timer's too low to notice a difference. See, it just turns off. So when I click lip, if you notice, it stays on the left trigger. I'm talking about line 23 on my script. I mean CVS file. So that's what it does. It stays on for 3 seconds. But if I were to count to 2 seconds, reactivate it, you'll notice the pulse lasts even longer because it's not going for 3 seconds. It's restarting the timer after 2 seconds because I cut it off and reactivate it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. So what I'm talking about is I just cut it off 4 times. Every time I said 1, 2, I would click the lip button again, which means since pulse is 3000 milliseconds, and I cut it off, it resets the timer. So on the last time I click lip, which is the 4th time, I let it play off the 3 seconds that it needed to turn off. But what would happen if I activate it with my lip, because that's what I set it for, but I keep holding onto it? So I'm going to tell you what happens and I'll explain it again. If I keep holding onto it after 3 seconds, the activation is still going to be there because I'm applying the pressure. But you won't see a delay on it holding it by itself because the timer already ran out. So I'm going to hold it for 4 seconds and I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry about that. So I held it for 4 seconds, and right when I said 4, I let go, and it also turned off. That's because the timer for 3 seconds already ran out. It's just waiting for me to let go, and it won't activate again. So it only reactivates when you cut it off and reactivate the button by mashing the lip button or whatever button you put it on. So summarize it. Pulse activates when pressed and turns off the timer and it turns off when the timer ends. Even if you continue to hold it, the button will still be activated until you let go. You can reactivate it by pressing on the same button or command that you applied it for to restart the timer. Okay, good. So now let's go to delay off, lines 25 to 27. Delay off also has the default timer of 200 milliseconds. So that's why we set it higher. But delay off is a little different. It's more leverage. More like it waits for you before it begins. So let's look at lines 26, right 2, and has delay off of 3000. And it's center sip. So let me show you. So I just activated it and it continues to 3 seconds. It looks a lot like pulse, but it waits for me to finish to release the pressure where I activated it before starting the timer. So if I were to count to 2 and let go, the timer will start right when I let go of pressure, which means if I hold it for 2 seconds and the function is 3 seconds, that's a total of 5 seconds of holding it. So let me show you. One, okay, I already let go, and that was 5 seconds because I really can't talk when I do it. So it's cool because it's more like a handicap. It waits for you to finish before trying it anything it needs to. So kind of it gives you time to make less mistakes. I use it rarely, but it does come in handy. I prefer it more than pulse, in my opinion. It's a really good function. But let's see, let me try. And just like pulse, I can reactivate the timer by letting go of the pressure and applying it by cutting it off. So since it has 3 seconds, I'll count to 2 once I activate it, and then reactivate it by clicking the button again. That will reset the timer, making the whole thing a little longer. So 1, 2, reactivate. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It was held the whole time because I kept resetting the timer and I had to finish the timer before stopping. So to summarize this one, the layoff activates when the user releases the pressure, and it turns off when the timer ends. You can cut off the timer by releasing pressure and applying the pressure again before timer is finished. Now let me show you what I use it for. Right here on DL usage is Dying Light. I use pulse in my sense because when I'm sprinting, there's a certain function, ability that lets me look back while sprinting to look at my surroundings and or protect me from enemies. But I don't like to do that when I'm running because I don't want to stop running. Usually I have mine toggled and I don't like to hold on to the button forever. So I would use pulse and quickly push the button without applying pressure or kind of repeating the pressure. I should use the layoff, and I might. But this is what it looks like on the X360. So I'm running with the analog stick and forward, and then I quickly want to look back, so I would right puff it, line 26 on my CVS file. It will activate Y and or triangle for 2 seconds and then look and let go. Gives me enough time to look back and then continue sprinting forward. So I would quickly run, click it, and continue running. This is what it looks like. Alright, let's go on to the layoff. I really should use the layoff for this. It's a little better. It gives me more of a leverage before I let go. But here's the layoff. I don't really use it on KF, Killing Floor. Obviously, you see my gameplay. But on this one, I use it for emotes and gestures to talk to my team or my teammates. So basically, I would sip soft it and control the right analog stick at the same time. Look for the emote I'm trying to apply, let go, and it'll activate in half a second. It gives me enough time to choose the emote or gesture I would like to use, let go to apply it, and my teammates know what I'm asking. Without me setting up my microphone because I can't really type on this, so it's not really crazy. It is useful in the slightest. That makes a big difference. So I don't think you'll be able to notice it since it's only 450 milliseconds. But this is what it looks like on my gameplay.
は終わりだ。さあ、仕事に戻りな。Z たちがやってくるよ。
Need a hand here, guys. Right with ya. Hurry up. Oh, history.
手堅いスタートだけど、まだまだ Z は残ってるよ。
Okay, so that's really, to be honest, I think that's all I use it for. I don't really use it a lot, but it's there if I ever need it. I'm just showing you how it works, how it applies, how you can work around it, etc. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I'm just trying to finish these functions perfectly because I want to delete the old videos. Just enjoy. I'm rambling. Take care, guys, and hope you learned something. If not, put a dislike button and please tell me how I can improve. For real, I would love to know. I take all criticism as long as it's helpful to me. I'm not really an asshole about it. Alright, take care, guys. Peace.